Yeah. So what do you want to do, man? What's your intention here?
My intention is, look, like, you know how Jeff and Kane and, say, Brendan Butchett, they were talking about, look, you can be an expert in any field. Mm-hmm. And one of them is just go out there, get out there, interview people. The question I have is, how do you approach an expert and go, hey, I would like an interview with you, and this is what do you offer them? Like, for example, like, if you want to go and talk to Jeff and Kane, like, do we have to offer them something in return? How do they get an hour time and I spend time with them? I think that's my question.
Okay, that's a great question. Yeah, that's exactly what you're asking me there is exactly what the expert interview formula is all about.
Oh.
It is about the process. I'll tell you the steps. This is my actual formula. And how I created this was from doing it, being in action.
Yeah.
And so my experiences as an internet marketer, my son might come in here in and out of there. So this is all very real and it's very open sort of thing. So yeah, I'm an internet marketing, what would you say, trainer. I teach people and businesses how to do that. And I've been sort of in the game for 3 years, from not knowing anything to where I am now, and constantly training. So my expertise really, where I was aiming for, was internet marketing, Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, articles, social networks, the whole bit.
Yep.
And so I was in the process of interviewing experts to position myself as an expert, so then I could kind of teach my stuff to people who might be interested.
Yep.
And explaining internet marketing to people who've never done it before it's actually a really difficult thing. There's so much information out there, and the big question that came up all the time when I taught companies and businesses and people was, well, how do I create content? What do I make? And you talk about articles, video, all these things, and they'd end up leaving more confused than helped.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to move you to this area a bit. Sorry, it just
that's fine.
Signal, but keep going.
So in the process of doing that, part of what I was doing was the positioning thing, was doing interviews with experts, trying to find how to make that work for that purpose, exactly what you're asking. And what I ended up doing was figuring out of all the millions of things that I do, the thing I enjoy the most is interviewing experts, spending time with them, asking them questions, and just hanging out and learning stuff. And I thought, you know what, that's my thing. That's my niche. So I get to teach internet marketing stuff with the intention of promoting your interviews that you do. So I don't have to teach about what content to create. You create interviews, you film it, and then you market those interviews. So I actually went through, when I decided this, and analysed my process and figured, well, okay, I've done a bunch of these interviews now. How did I actually get them? And I looked for the common things between each one. And I went, okay, well, what's the process? And I went down and mapped out a 5-step formula for what I actually do. So this is based on me being in action, doing it, and getting the result, not just making up a formula and then inventing something around it. So the formula is really simple. It goes like this. It's 5 steps. It's who.
It's what?
It's who. Right, the word who. So it's who, invite.
Invite.
Prepare.
Yep.
Interview. Promote. So it's who, invite, prepare, interview, promote. And what that means is who. Who are the experts in your field that you should be interviewing? I don't know what you do, but who are the people in your field that you would love to do an interview with that would help position you and that you could bring value to that interviewer? So figure out who they are. We all know why we should be interviewing experts anyway. And inviting them. So the next step is actually what you just asked. How do you get that interview? What do you say to them? What value do you bring to them? And what I do in my course is I actually share with you the emails that I sent to them, dissected for exactly why I wrote what I wrote, because part of my training is in copywriting, is in a little bit of NLP and influence and how you make things happen. So I've actually crafted a really good email and analysed which ones worked the best, and that's what I share with people, that those emails dissected, line by line, why it worked. And actually sharing the results. So this one, I wrote this email and here's how he responded and the interaction between till the interview, and you get to watch the interview. So these ones are from actual interviews at work. So that's invite. So there's a very special way that you need to invite them, that you can bring value to them so that everyone wins.
Yep.
And so that's invite. Then prepare, how to come up with great questions, how to research them. right?
Yep.
Find out
Yep.
a bit about them, what it is, find out their personality types, so that you can then kind of quickly get into rapport with someone that you've never met.
Yep.
And you know, create a great situation. So then after prepare is the interview, the equipment you need, how you do it before the interview, after the interview. Because whenever you do an interview with someone, you end up spending like 45 minutes in the interview, but there's probably like 10 or 15 minutes leading up to it as you're getting sound checks and you're chatting, getting used to it. And then after it, sometimes, you know, like today I just interviewed Seb Wichman. We spent about probably half an hour afterwards it was almost like a private coaching session, I guess you could call it. Just asking questions, giving feedback. He's giving specific information to help me with my business. And we're talking about, you know, how can I help him and in different ways, how we're going to promote this thing. So, yeah, you get a lot more out of the interview itself, but there's a certain way that you conduct that, you know, how to get feedback, how to ask great questions after it. So it's not just you're trying to get stuff out of them, but it's like, you know, they want to help you, you know. And then the last one is, once you've done the interviews, to promote it. And that's where my internet marketing thing comes in. So step 5 used to be my whole deal, how to promote, you know. And so, but now, yeah, I teach it through that. So, yeah, who, invite, prepare, interview, promote. That's the system. And it works.
Like, to be honest, you actually kind of, like, that package that you got there, the product, it actually answers all the questions I was thinking before, like, for example. Yeah, it's good to come up with like maybe 1 or 2, 3 main questions, but then how do you, like say as we have a conversation right now, how do you come up with the next best question, you know, to follow up on that topic, or how do you get back to them? And yeah.
So is that answer the question, or are you asking a question? You're asking me, how do I do that?
Yeah, how do you come up with a great question on the spot?
On the spot, I listen. I listen to what they're talking about. And so it's not just ask a question and then you sort of sit around, whatever. You're actually listening, you're engaged in the conversation. And this is something Jeff Slater taught me, is coming from a place of curiosity. I select people to interview who I actually want to learn something from, who have something very special and unique to share. And I figure, well, what can I learn from this person? Because if this is what Jeff taught me, is if you come from a place of curiosity and look, I want to learn this thing, other people will probably want to learn that same stuff. Okay, so I just come into it with a thing of, just like you're asking me stuff that you want to know. That's exactly how you do it. Yeah, you just ask and you listen to their answers, and then, you know, when you hear a moment that you think you want them to, you didn't quite understand, or, you know, you want them to flesh out a bit more, you go, well, could you tell me more about that? You know, so that's, I have 10 questions prepared up front. I don't actually just run them through like a list. I ask them a question. If they happen to cover one of the answers already, let's cross it off the list. They've already spoken about it. So it's the stuff I want to know, and that just lets the interview flow very comfortably without it sounding just like a list of questions.
When you approach these guys, do you ask them like, hey, look, I want 5 minutes of your time, or 10 minutes of your time, or an hour straight up front? Or
okay, I don't even mention the time up front. It's when they come back. So at first I just pique their interest, you know. The email might say something like, hey dude, I like your work, I've been watching some of your videos, just to acknowledge that, you know, you kind of know a bit about them and you're interested. Say, look, you know, how open would you be to doing an interview? And if you've already done one, the first one's the hardest to get. Once you've got one, then I can say, how open would you be to doing an interview like the one I did here with Jeff? And Jeff from Jeff and Kane with a link.
So
just with the link, so I can say
credibility and to other people.
Yeah, so I get to say, hey, look, I've interviewed this person. You know this guy. He's done some stuff that you're interested in, because that's how we met. And he gave me his time. So it really just opens up to go, oh, well, he's a mate of Jeff's. Yeah, cool. That sounds like something cool to do. And they actually get to watch it and see how long it took. They see there's 4 videos and they're all about 10 minutes. So, and then they might come back and say, however they answer back, they might say,